Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Straight Talk for the Soul series. I'm Carrie Murphy, your host and the creator and founder of this global broadcasting community. Welcome to our listening family. Thank you so much for the gift of your time and presence today. I want to extend a bright and a beautiful good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you joining us from around the world. It's an amazing time to be alive, and I love walking this journey with all of you. What an adventure it is. I want to invite all of you to subscribe to this show if you haven't already at straighttalkforthesoul.com. You can also find us on iTunes and YouTube and in our Facebook group and Instagram by entering in Straight Talk for the Soul to find us. And please rate and comment on this show. We love hearing from you. I also invite you to leave your comments in our webcast question answer box if you've joined us by computer live today. We want to know how you're feeling, and I must say I'm feeling ignited. I'm feeling inspired. My co-creative partner for today is the beautiful Micheila Sheldan. Our topic for today's show is exploring truth, the expansion of our universal library. As humanity experiences a significant realignment of the poles in 2019, its access to multidimensional information is expanding. When mass awakening occurs, multiple perceptions are considered and new truths are revealed. The simple realization that multiple perceptions exist is a conscious technology to bridge your planetary experience with the universe. Now think of all of the struggle that humans are currently immersed in around this whole topic of truth. Truth about government, universe, creation, religion, extraterrestrial contact, history, even diet and exercise, as well as relationships and your family origins. So when you're faced with the idea of one truth, you actually set up to consistently and constantly resist that which others believe, as well as resist your own beliefs, because many of them have become very difficult to physically validate. And according to Micheila, you're not here to create your experience around an existing truth. You're here to experience and consider many truths on your path to higher consciousness, choosing for yourself what is in resonance with your heart and soul, best accommodating a non-physical plan that was set in motion lifetimes ago. Now, in our time together today with Micheila, you will have the option and the opportunity to learn how this pole shift is expanding our access to the universal akash, open your heart and mind to a more expansive definition of universal truth, develop confidence in your own personal discernment, find peace in the allowance of all humans to discern their own truth, embrace a more collective perspective of the universal akashic field, understand how to navigate massive amounts of information to arrive at what your unique soul craves and requires. We're also going to talk about shifting patterns of stagnation that you may have created on your quest for truth, and free any energetic currency that you may have tied up in your quest for truth to create and expand your soul journey. And Micheila will be doing a meditation activation at some point during the show, and we will be taking callers. So press star 2 to raise your hand if you have a question for Micheila. Again, Micheila Sheldan is my partner here today. She is an intuitive channel. She has an open connection to a variety of guides, master teachers, interdimensional beings and collectives, including Mary Magdalene, the Palladians, and the Council of Light. Micheila channels detailed information about our history, structure, ascension, and transition to a fifth-dimensional consciousness. She had her awakening during a struggle with debilitating chronic pain, and during her connection to Source, and through that, Micheila completely healed herself, leaving her mainstream life behind to fully pursue her soul's purpose as a channel. Now, her mission is to inspire others to fearlessly live their soul's higher purpose and to support light workers through a very transitional time in our planet's history. Micheila also believes that she incarnated here in this time as a conduit for light workers to identify and activate their collective assignment or their signature imprint. She's able to transmit light-coded frequencies and vibrational healings as a vessel for crystalline light through channeled messages and activations. She's also the executive director of the Flower of Life Center for Human Evolution. It's a volunteer organization focused on raising the consciousness of the planet. And she has two beautiful, very gifted teenage daughters. And she's someone that I've come to know and love and appreciate so much over the years. And I'm honored to welcome her back. So please join me in extending waves of love and light and appreciation to Micheila as I welcome her back to the show. So, Micheila, welcome back, beautiful.
Oh, thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here with you, Carrie.
It's always fun. I never know what's going to happen, Micheila. You're always bringing forth.
Me neither.
That's the fun part, isn't it? Micheila, you really are one of the most clear and progressive channels that I know, and I really honor the work that you're doing. As I mentioned, your awakening came through a struggle with chronic pain, and many people are probably aware of that if they're new to this. Can you give just kind of a synopsis of, because this wasn't something you weren't always a channel, right?
Oh, no. No, this was not at all what I intended to do with my life, nor was I even in this conversation till later in life. I led a very mainstream life. I, got the degree, got married, had the kids, became a stay-at-home mom, which I loved. As my kids were little, I threw myself into the volunteer world. And it was probably after the birth of my second daughter that I started to experience some chronic pain, and it was in my hip, my low back, my leg, and over the course of probably 6 years, it really took over my life. I was going to doctors and practitioners and having tests, and I was on a variety of different medications for pain, even depression, and had started to have my nerves severed, ablated every 6 months, stopped driving. It was a pretty dark time in my life. And the universe kind of picked me up and dropped me off in a new community. My family made this move across town, and I ended up being exposed to some more holistic types of practice and healing, Eastern philosophy. And the thing that I chose was meditation, because I had read and had researched that meditation could help me control my pain. And at this point in my life, I was really at the end of the rope, with the things I had tried. So I started to meditate for no spiritual purpose whatsoever, really just for physical. And I was met with a voice. And this voice was angelic, named Jacob, who walked me through this reacquaintance with a gift that I had in many lives, that I was in full resistance of, first of all, because I felt a little crazy, right? I didn't have anyone in my life to look at as a model.
To talk to about Jacob. Right.
Exactly. And so it took me quite a while, but I believe that as I started channeling, which I didn't even call at the time, I thought, I'm clairaudient. All right, I went down this whole rabbit hole of researching this. My vibration simply changed, and my world transformed to that vibration. So all of a sudden, I'm meeting people, I'm inheriting new friends, family, right, people around me that I can have this conversation with, and that led me to Flower of Life, which I now am, co-running with Ethan Fox, and stepped into this channeling world. So I did heal myself. Okay, I did heal myself. I healed myself completely. I got off all my medications. I'm in better health today at 50 than I was in my 30s.
You look amazing. And
what
a testament! What a testament to this work that you were able to heal yourself and take yourself off all of those medications, and I'm sure it gave you a little more faith and trust in leaving that whole mainstream world and moving into this, and then finally calling it channeling, and finally allowing that. And I love what you said about how it shifted your vibration so that you started, meeting new people. It's kind of like I get emails from people who listen to this show. It's like once you start listening to shows like this and you really open up to your own perhaps healing or channeling capacities or intuition, it's amazing how new experiences and people and everything, everything shifts and changes. So Micheila, what's interesting to me is, I mean, your channeling is really unique. The information that comes through you always just blows me away in terms of, like I said, you talk clearly about ascension and about our history, about fifth dimensional consciousness. How would you describe just kind of the evolution of your channeling and what you're mostly focused on now?
Wow. It's always changing, Carrie, and that's the thing. I never know where it's going next. And the more I take this path, the more that I bring in. When I first started to channel, I was really focused more on, the things that were going wrong on the planet and why. And I'll tell you why this happened to me. First, let's just say I had these guides come in and tell me I had a mission here, which, I, of course, didn't remember. And they said, light workers on the planet are going to go through a really difficult time. And during this transition, they're not going to see with their eyes the changes that will be going on beneath the surface energetically. And you're here to help them bridge that gap so that they can have hope, so they can understand that what they're doing is actually making an impact. And so some of the original messages I brought in were really for myself because I was going through awakening. And when that happens, you start to question everything, your government, your religion, all of the aspects of your reality. And you get a little angry, right? And all of a sudden, here I was, this mom with these two children that I just had this burning desire to protect, GMO food and chemtrail and fluoride and all these things. And my first action was to kind of jump into physical to say, what can I do on the ground? And I asked the question, how can I change this? And they said, until humans understand that it's an energetic issue, everything that they're manifesting, change cannot be made. So a lot of my original channelings were really about that, about how our non-physical energy is so, so important, how we were created as a one and we were taken away from that one. A lot of my channeling has focused on a reptilian consciousness that's present, which I know sounds kind of scary, but it's really not. It's really just a part of our history that's come to the surface that I think, like a lot of other historic aspects of our culture, we are transmuting and purging. But lately, I've had a lot more divine feminine type of energy coming in. Mary Magdalene, Divine Mother, talking about how we manifest in moments, how we're meant to meet our human experience. I have a lot of multi-galactic collectives that I work with, like Pleiadians, Arcturians, there's a Council of Light, and they come in and give just complex, detailed dissertations about what's happening now, right? I mean, if you've seen my channeling, they get what's happening now and how humans really are making that shift. So,
you know what I see you as? Like this galactic news broadcaster, because it's like giving the galactic news. And when you do it, the selection of words and just the way it flows through you is so professional. You know what I mean? It's like a galactic news. It's like a news anchor from, it's just pretty fascinating. And it's interesting. I was about to ask you, who and, who you're working with now, but as you mentioned, it's multi-galactic collectives. And I'm certain that you're able to discern and feel what kind of energy is coming through when you're channeling. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think we all, as channels, we all kind of go through that, right? When we first start to open up with our gifts, what I find is when we first open up and we're able to sense, whether it be like I do, hearing, seeing, right, feeling, whatever it may be, we just kind of let it go on autopilot because there's no rule book, there's no instruction manual on how to work with these gifts and technologies. But what happens, I think, is we end up tapping into stuff that helps us to discern, that helps to guide and navigate that technology. And that's why there's this dichotomy of light and dark that's present. If we didn't have any experience of darkness, whether it be in our human life or when we're tapping into something in the field, we wouldn't know the difference, right, between that darkness and light. And I guess that's what I came to. It's really about the vibration of the message. And for me, I had a lot of doubt around what I was bringing in, and I felt, and I still feel today, this significant responsibility because so many people are listening to my channeling, and that's a big deal for me. And it was hard for me to accept that responsibility and not know, how can I measure this? How can I measure this? Right. But I had to really become immersed in my own material to get the feedback I needed. And
to prove its
when
validity.
I listened, yeah, because I really had a resistance to it at first, listening back. I put it out there, but I didn't want to have anything to do with listening to it or watching myself or listening to myself. But it was the best thing I ever could have done, because when you hear something that's so inspirational for humanity, and, I've even challenged myself to say, what if this is all wrong? What if none of this is true? And the result I come to is people walk away feeling better. They walk away feeling excited about what's to come, feeling expansive in their ability to create, right? That's validation of truth to me, and high vibration.
I totally agree.
I think we have to make it simpler than what it is. Yeah.
I agree with that as well. And I completely relate to what you're saying. I feel a huge sense of responsibility to this community for what I choose to allow to come through. You know what I mean? And so I understand. And I'm with you. I mean, to me, my primary intention is for people to walk away feeling empowered, feeling expanded. And I know that certainly with what you bring through, it does that. And so I want to kind of weave into what we're talking about, this whole topic of truth and expanding truths. And, it's a really fascinating topic because, as I mentioned in the intro, it's kind of like there isn't just one truth, and there are a lot of truths to select from, and I think that's such an important thing to recognize, and because as long as we're trying to all have the same truths, we're going to be frustrated, and it's not going to be very much fun, and we're not all supposed to have the same truth, and we all learn to discern what's true for us. So with this topic, Micheila, why did it feel important to kind of highlight this?
Right. Well, all of the teachings that I bring in, whether they be a new channel course that I'm offering, a writing, something I offer in my YouTube videos, it always directly aligns with what's happening collectively on the planet. So when this concept came in of exploring truth, it really hit home for me because a lot of what's going on energetically within Gaia is allowing us to access more information. So I know a lot of your listeners know we have a physical pole shift taking place, which we do from time to time, but a lot of the messages I brought in back in 2018 were actually talking about the energetic preparation for this physical movement, and it was a significant one, is helping us to ground a new dimension. And dimension is really all about access. Okay, so when we move from the third to the fifth, or the fifth to the seventh to the ninth, it doesn't necessarily mean that dimension, that higher dimension, is better. What it means is we have more access to information and more light to implement and create through that information. And that's really positive. So what's happening right now is this influx, this incredible influx of akashic information. And it's multidimensional in nature. So what I've noticed, especially when people are awakening and, we're on a constant inner quest of awakening, it never really ends, is that we can become really stifled by either having to prove a truth that is a requirement for us to evolve, or that we don't have the truth we need, so we stay in that internal quest without really balancing to a more integrated type of evolution. Or finally, we have so much resistance on what we believe this new truth to be that we can't allow others to also be in their own truth. And resistance is resistance. It's like when we have resistance, it doesn't have to be identified as something specific to show up as a block. Resistance doesn't know any meaning. It's just simply there. And so that's why I think it's so important for us to relax a little bit more around this understanding of personal truth, because we have so much more access now, and really everybody on the planet does as well.
Right. Well, when you said this influx of akashic information, describe what you mean by akashic information.
The akashic field it's like the universal library of all that is, was, or ever will be. So if we take that and we break it down, this is a massive type of field that even I think in our human selves right now we have a hard time conceptualizing, because we've been so singularly focused. We think that library simply holds history. Okay, so there was one timeline of the Christ, and there is a story about that timeline of the Christ that is correct and true, that everybody needs to subscribe to and should be uncovered. But what we forget is that every timeline that's ever been created here is still vibrating. It's still a real eternal energy. So if you look at simply what we've created in our lives, and let's just say you're making a decision between two paths. Maybe that one path is to move to a new house and the other path is to stay in the home that you're in. If you choose the path of moving, there's still a timeline potential that's vibrating where you stayed in the house. Like we don't align with that. Everything in the universe is real. It's just that we've been so physically focused that we only see in linear. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're not meant to understand the entire akash. I mean, imagine if we had that much information every single day. Like we'd be stifled. We wouldn't know where to go and what to do. But this akashic field is available to us when we're continuing to evolve, to help us integrate, especially what I believe are these fragmented soul pieces through time, right? So we know we've had lives on the planet before. We've had lives in the cosmos before. The soul partners that we're with and we're magnetizing also have soul fragments. And this strengthening of soul fragments or information can really help us to move forward in our lives. But the key is we need to match and bring in the things that are most relevant, not only to our intention before we came into this body, right, which isn't singular but massive, and who we desire to become. Okay, so I'll give you an example of what I'm noticing is that when we have all these soul fragments, this akashic information coming in, our vibration can dictate what we recognize and what shows up as a part of our manifestation. So let's say we're here as a healer, and we have so many other timelines on the planet and in the cosmos where we have these incredible healing gifts. And now, because we've raised our vibration and our consciousness, all of this information is available to us. But we're meeting it maybe in fear, disillusionment, frustration, anger. Not that it's not okay to have those emotions, right? But sometimes when we hold on to them and we feel as if we don't know, okay, that something has to be proved outside of us, we set ourselves up to tune into the lower vibrational aspects of that akashic field, because everything that exists has its polar opposite, right? Just like we chose the house or the move, if we have a disease, somewhere in the universe that disease is healed. If we have a problem that shows up for us, somewhere in the universe is made manifest the solution to that problem. So we can either draw from the akash the equilibrium of the problem, or we can draw from the akash the equilibrium of the solution.
So are you saying that these soul fragments are just different aspects of us existing in other dimensions, even galaxies that we can tap into for the purpose of just expanding our experience here and now?
Absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so also when you were talking, a question that came up, okay, so because this influx of akashic information is now available because we've evolved, who decides that this information is made accessible to us?
Well, there's no one keeper of the akashic record, right? Who decides? We decide. We're the only ones who can decide, because we're the God, the source, the technology, right, the soul that is here to draw and utilize that information. So what I'm seeing, Carrie, is that people are getting so lost in the quest for truth and inundated with so much information that they're not balancing that with the ability to draw what's really necessary for them.
What's important, right.
Right. And I've seen this. Okay, so we can take just one issue, like, for example, the government. There was just a question in one of my live channelings about the secret space program, okay? So maybe we're here in some way to get involved with that and create change, or be a teacher about something that's going on the planet. And if we're not, this may be something that we need to be aware of to help evolve us forward. But if we spend too much time in the constant quest for truth in that one area, we might be pulling stuff that we don't, it's creating distortion that we don't really need for our soul's evolution. And if we can relax on this, what begins to happen is a collective resonance allows what we need as humanity to come to the surface. So obviously the quest for disclosure is there because as humans, we desire more knowledge and information. But if we get too resistant in that timeline of constantly searching for the one truth in that area, in that energy, we stall ourselves. And I think this is where we've seen a lack of progress, maybe on the planet in certain areas, is that we're constantly immersed in the resistance of the issue because we're trying to uncover the truth that the truth itself can't really ever come. And by the time that truth, right, by the time that truth comes, it might have changed from what it was, right?
Right. What a waste of energy, right?
Exactly.
Or not a waste, but I mean, it's out of balance is what I'm hearing. It can be out of balance.
Well, it takes up a lot of currency. You know,
that's what you meant by that, the energetic currency.
Yeah, to keep that fight alive. And so that's like the macrocosm of it. Imagine in our own families and our own lives how this is going on. We know, right? It's human nature to believe something and want to share it with others so that they're in resonance with you. But we've become so immersed in the fight of proving our own truth to others that it's blocking our own ascension.
Exactly.
In so many ways, right?
Well, and what I've noticed, and I can only speak for myself, is I know when it's out of balance in any way or anything like that by the way that I'm feeling. You know, if I'm drained or exhausted or anything like that, I mean, that's a pretty key sign something's out of balance. And because typically if we are drawing in information, this akashic information that is beneficial, we are inspired. We are you know what I'm saying? That's when I know I'm using that to my advantage, like in a beneficial way. What do you think about that? How do you feel with regard to knowing the balance of that and if we're actually doing something that's helping us or not?
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting because it's like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Mm-hmm. Do we really have the ability to block out what everyone else is telling us is truth and accept that we actually know? Let's just take one issue here, like physical body, because that's a huge, huge one today on the mm-hmm. planet. And how we are so inundated with, we should be vegan, we should eat protein, we should do the keto diet, we need to not do the keto diet, right? I mean, and a lot of us are really feeling the body shift right now. So we have a lot of adjustments going on in the physical body where we are trying to work out, through diet and all these other tools. Well, I have come across in my channeled sessions, people constantly will ask this problem, what is the best for me? Should I be vegan? Should I do this? Should I be juicing? Do I need to detox? It's different for everybody because we're vibration and motion, right? And so when people are doing a diet and they don't feel good on that diet, or they're doing a detox and they, all of a sudden they have, massive migraines and all this stuff. We have to be able to trust that either we know that's right and that's working for us, or it's not, based on how the body is communicating with us. And it's like a muscle we need to strengthen.
Yes, for ourselves, and it's all unique to us individually. I was just talking to my mom about that yesterday, Micheila. She wanted to go on a diet, and, it's not my role to say whether that's right for her or wrong for her. It may be right for her, not right for me, because it's not how I look at. I don't think that, those things don't work for me, and I'm aware of that. But I'm not going to try to tell her it's not right for you. If it feels good, do it. And but if we're doing anything out of guilt or feeling like we have to follow a certain thing, that never works. And it's very short-lived and temporary. And to me, a lifestyle that feels healthy for us individually is best. But good points.
I agree. I love that message because again, it does come up in a lot of my channeled sessions as well. You have to align the non-physical energy before you take physical action. And so if you are in resistance with your body the way it is in this moment, the new body can't emerge because you won't know the path to take in order to best serve the body. And that can be applied in so many different ways, not only physical.
Right. Well, it applies to everything. And Sue wrote in, and she had an interesting question, and it's about the akash. And she says, what if someone wants to clear out the entire akash so we can rewrite it? I don't understand, and so I resist. I want to be in the flow. I just want to be free, cause no harm. There is a lot of talk about that, clearing the akash, rewriting it. What's your perspective on that?
Well, I believe that there is a basis for all creation. Okay, so we as humans don't come from nothingness. We were created in the likeness of 12-strand DNA, multidimensional beings that connect to the akash for a purpose, because we're meant to use that as the basis for our creation. So let's just take physical DNA. We know we carry out family patterns. That might be patterns that we don't like abuse or disease. The only way we clear the akash and we rewrite those patterns is if we address them head on. They have to in some way come up into our human story so that we have the reference point to actually rewrite it. And I don't necessarily think we clear it as we do repattern it, right? So I'll give you one, an idea of something that came to my awareness, because I have, and if any of them are listening, I'm going to apologize. I have a very Italian family. And, we have these really big Italian family dinners, and the family has had a lot of, diabetes and, the traditional kinds of diseases that we find passed on. And when I show up at that family dinner, I see the types of foods and things that might cause that gene to carry on in physical. Now, it's present in the family because it's meant to be transmuted for future generations. But if we don't do something different in that human experience, if we don't meet it with a different consciousness, a different attitude, we are never going to change it. And so it doesn't have to necessarily be food. It doesn't have to be physical. What I
any
find
pattern.
Any pattern. Even if you believe that it can't be changed, it won't. I mean, your simple belief that it can be changed opens the door to new akashic information to help change it.
Yes.
Right? Now all of a sudden you're bombarded with things, opportunities, pathways you can take that are that change. So I don't think it's just a non-physical thing. We are physical humans, and we're meant to balance both sides. I mean, maybe at some point in our distant future, we'll approach all of this non-physically. But I think until then, we're meant to balance both. And the only way that akash can change is to meet it in physical.
Absolutely. I don't think that one statement is going to clear the akash. I've never resonated with that. I mean, it doesn't make any sense because we are here, and I love the way that you're describing that to not necessarily clear the akash, but to repattern it requires change in the physical experience. And that happens through a new response, a new choice, a new empowered choice. But everything I stress is empowerment, because when we make new empowering decisions with the same information, the same people, it all changes and it does repattern itself. And I love that you're bringing that up with regard to health issues, but that, even like you brought up abuse patterns, any kind of pattern, it requires, I mean, it's up to us, really, right, Micheila? I mean, it's a lot of accountability and ownership of our patterns and ways. That's why we're here, to be aware.
I tell this, and I tell this story a lot, but I'm going to tell it again because it really does resonate with what you're talking about. Okay, so oftentimes I will have people come who have relationship issues. And they have the same man show up. We know the story, right? The same man shows up in different form over and over and over again. Yep. And I had one where this woman said, I just broke up with a man, didn't respect me, treated me, terribly. And now I have another one. And she says, I can see it already. It's the same pattern. It's the same guy. And she says, I'm going to break it off. And the guide said, well, hold on a second, because this is actually your opportunity to change the pattern. So we tend to want to resist, break it off in physical, avoid. And they say, go towards and actually communicate differently, make a different decision. Don't break it off just yet. It's in the way that you break it off. It's the way that you show up and say, not in an angry
not out of
way.
fear.
Okay. Right. And I'm not a proponent of abuse here. We have to obviously have healthy boundaries. But, for her to actually sit down with this person and be vulnerable enough to say, listen, this is how I feel. I don't feel supported. I don't feel loved. I don't feel like you respect me. And this is why. And that simple act of breaking that pattern in that relationship would carry forth into all the other ones and actually bring that new soul in that wasn't a mirror to that pattern anymore. And so that's why I think it's so important that this akash has to be addressed also in physical, because that's the present moment where it all exists and grounds here. Yeah.
Right. And just the awareness is not enough, because if we're just running from something from a state of fear, like, oh no, I see that coming. But what you're saying is the importance and the significance of addressing it in a very empowered way. And that can change a whole. What I love about your sharings or teachings or whatever you want to call them, I've always found them to be highly practical. And I think that's important in this human experience. For someone like you, Micheila, who brings through this, this kind of information, and you're in touch and in connection with all this quantum-ness, how do you balance that out with just living a normal physical life and relationships and family and just day-to-day human things. How do you balance that?
Yeah, I don't know if I do very well, Carrie. It's a weird time on the planet right now, isn't it? I mean, this has been the big topic of conversation, and we were just talking about this at an event I did last Saturday. And the one thing I'm noticing with people, and even myself, is we are a little secluded right now, you know, from people that resonate with us. And I don't know, for me, what I bring in my channeling is so deep and dense in terms of its, you know, high vibrational, multidimensional information that, I do find like I have to kind of walk away and, like decompress and do something more, you know, quote unquote human. But I live a very normal human life. I'm a mom, you know, I have my family, you know, my family, they really are not in this conversation. And I've had to learn how to negotiate that. And I think all of us, to some degree, are negotiating our identities right now in ways that are safe. And I brought this through in the session where, we had a parent meeting. That's what it was. We have a conscious youth movement in Flowers Life, and we had a group of conscious parents on a webcast. And they all had the same story, that they were either in a community that was very Christian and very difficult to navigate with kids who were awakening and had these amazing gifts, or they had a parent in the family that was resistant to what the kids were talking about. And we discussed how it's so important to show up as yourself, but you kind of know that fine line, and this gets into the topic of truth, where to push the button. You know, I can show up at the family dinner. They all know that I'm a channel. They know I probably talk to extraterrestrials. I'm sure they've watched my videos. It's not something that they're involved in. But I certainly wouldn't show up and say, hey, I had this great conversation with the Arcturians earlier today.
Let me tell you about my recent channeling, right.
The Council of Light said that the poles are, you know. So I kind of have learned how to, you know, and that's what, you know, in this whole topic of truth, that's the importance of allowance, because what I find is there's this unique threshold where I can show up as myself but not push the envelope. Exactly. And when I do that, I'm not in resistance. They're not in resistance of me. And all of a sudden, these topics kind of come to the surface. I was at my last family dinner, and I was laughing inside, because some of the topics that were coming up were blowing me away, you know.
Organically.
Topics, things. So that's what I think we're maneuvering on the planet. It's just not an easy time, right? I think we find ourselves in these pockets of consciousness. This is another message that came up. Light workers, way showers, even crystal children, have found themselves in community circles, families that are not their match. And that's by design, because they're there to either break something down or set something up that assists. It's like we're all these crystals that were dropped into various locations of the earth and are changing the vibration of the earth, but we're doing it with other humans, and it's not always easy to negotiate, right?
Right. Yeah. I love that you said that it organically came up, because I found over the years, because I've been doing this for so long, I don't bring up what I do to, you know, in my family gatherings at all. And what's more important wherever I go, aside from this community, because it's so normal and natural in these talks and our communities that this is normal. But outside of them, what I have found is just bringing the vibration of all these things that we speak of, you know, just that confident, empowering vibration wherever we go is all that matters. It's not a verbal expression of all that we know. It is, you know, it's an embodiment of vibration that we bring forth. And then everything's fun. You know, there's no resistance anywhere, because there's no proving to anyone anything. And that goes back to this whole topic of truth. You know, there's no need to prove what we know about our connection to the akash or to the, you know, other galaxies, or, you know what I mean?
I agree.
And I think that makes life a lot more enjoyable as a light worker or a way shower or whatever you want to call all of us conscious people in a community like this. So, wow, there's so many directions we could go, Micheila, but we have a lot of hands up, and I know a lot of people probably want to connect with you and ask you questions. So we're going to take some live callers. Do you want to steer this in a particular direction, or are you open to all kinds of questions, or how do you want to do this?
I'm open. I mean, I think it's always best if you have a personal question, if you can frame it in a way that everyone who's on the call could be assisted in some way. So instead of making it so personal, maybe taking it up into the collective. But yeah, we can just play with whatever comes up.
Okay. So everybody who's had your hand up, I'm going your direction. And again, press star to raise your hand if you've called in by phone. Okay, I'm going to our first caller, and just tell us your name when I go to you. Area code. There's just quite a few of those. Okay. I'm going to go to your last four numbers of your number. 1892. 1892.
Yes, hello.
Hi, welcome.
Well, thank you. I'm glad. Thank you for taking my call, and certainly an excellent show. A lot of very good points made today. Micheila, I have I guess I'll summarize. Felt like around the winter solstice moved through a bit of a doorway. Feel there's some activation openings of the pineal gland and basically moving into a new phase. So wanted to see if you have anything additional to say upon that. And the last thing is, the ascension symptoms, my vision has actually gotten better, but on the right eye there's a little bit of a slender thread floater. Just wondering if that's more of an ascension symptom or just something physical.
Okay. Well, so let's address this collectively first. And all of you are so unique and all responding to the planetary energies differently. So first of all, no judgment. Wherever you are is perfect in this transition. But certainly through the winter solstice, we had, I feel a lot of preparation energetically to surge forward into this new dimension that has grounded here. There's been so many different aspects of this. So going back, we know, as I mentioned, in 2018, there was an energetic templating or preparation for a physical pole shift. And what I found in my last session was that this is pulling us into a new location in the galactic universe. So Gaia is actually connecting to the universal grid system in a new location. What this means, and this is the impetus for so much akashic influx, is that we have new dimensional information coming in. The portals are all shifting. And so if you're someone who has been very sensitive or, working on that, you probably took a big leap in the speed that you're able to bring it in. All right. So that door opening, whether it was the pineal glands for you, whether it was the crown, maybe it was simply just an extrasensory gift or ability that changed in some way. It has a lot to do with where you are and how you connect to what the earth is doing right now. And in 2018, we had a lot of turbulent movement. So we noticed the Schumann frequency, would spike and then dip, and then we were on this kind of roller coaster with our bodies. A lot of that movement in the earth is starting to stabilize now. So again, we can look at that as preparation for walking into a new kind of technology that we're activating. As far as the eyesight, this is actually, I have an Inner Circle Facebook community that is a group very similarly to Carrie's that gets together and shares information, and we've had some posting in there about eyes lately. Mm-hmm. And so I actually attribute this to electromagnetics, and that's what we're channeling through the earth. We're connected to the earth electromagnetically. When we think about all of the systems of the body, our senses, we're going to go through changes, just like sometimes people have ringing in the ears as an upgrade to a new dimension. people who are activating pineal or inner outer sight might have something going on with the eyes. In addition, I think there's been a buildup of pressure. And I'll put it this way, Earth, okay, Gaia, living, breathing being, is actually shifting all of her elemental structures now. And we have those elemental structures within us. So sometimes the iron in our blood, literally, nutrients and things in our body will shift, not because we're doing something wrong, but because we're a part of a collective change. And there is a new, higher connection to all humans right now as well. So that's contributing to this process. So isn't it ascension system? Is it an ascension symptom? It's hard for us to classify it as one thing, but the way in which you approach it, remember the way in which you show up in that present moment and you interpret or perceive it, has a lot to do with how it either works itself out or persists. Yeah. Right? So we have to look at sometimes these bodily shifts as really just recalibrations, movements, changes, just like what's going on within Earth.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Very good.
Is that helpful?
Yes, indeed. Yes, that's very, very enlightening, and a few things to look at there.
I'm grateful you're here. I don't think I've heard your voice before. What is your name again?
Robert.
Robert. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. I do listen to the show from time to time, so it's a very good show. So thanks very much, and thanks for having such a good guest today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, take care of yourself. And it's interesting you brought up the eyes. I've been going through the same thing. So, and I love what Micheila said about our approach and perception means a lot. The way that we perceive it is really significant. So anyway, thank you for your questions, and blessings to you, Robert.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Okay, Micheila, we are moving on to area code 3. Where did you go? 385. 385.
Hello?
Hi, welcome.
Hi. Oh, I didn't know it was me.
It's you.
Hi, my name is Asia, and my question is, I've been channeling a lot of light language lately, and I've actually had some Star Nations come to me in my dreams and talk to me. It was a really interesting experience, and I feel like I'm ready to start channeling words. I just don't know, I feel so much around my throat area and the energy around my body, but when I open my mouth, there's nothing coming out. I don't know where to start. I was wondering if you have any suggestions on where to begin that journey, and then I also wanted to know if there's any suggestions you have on how I can figure out which Star Nations I'm channeling, because I know that it's more than one.
Yeah, most likely it is. Well, I'll take that part first. So I've done a lot of channeling on light language, and I have a lot of people, friends, acquaintances who channel light language. And what's interesting is everyone has their own dialect. So a lot of people can be channeling multiple races and multiple forms of light language and putting them in their own signature imprint, offering something very unique to the collective. And my guess is that's most likely what you're doing, because as light, what we're bringing, it's like light language or a light code is as massive as that akash. I mean, that's how much information can fit into that light language, those codes, those sounds. So why would you just limit yourself, in your access to one race? And I would encourage you to speak to those guides and try to get clarity on that yourself. And the first area when we're not able to receive the language in English that we need to receive is typically a physical sign. I noticed that when we aren't able to sit in meditation and receive the question that we need, we think we are disconnected in some way, or, you know, we did something wrong, but we're not being present with the message as it shows up across our computer screen at some time during the day. If there's some collective or information that you're magnetizing or gravitated to that excites you, there's no mistake that that's probably a part of the answer that you're seeking, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And then, you know, for me, what they're bringing in about the channeling is the light language is so easy because you're not in resistance of it. It's something that shows up because it's so unique to who you are. And they want to ask you the question, you know, could you teach that to someone? If someone said, can you teach me how you speak light language, would you be able to teach a class on how you do it? Probably not, right? You probably don't have, you can't break down the energetic process as something so innate to you. Channeling is the same way with words. We all have very unique ways to tap in, and it's important that we simply sit and listen to what our bodies want to show us about that process. Take a little energetic fast from what others are telling you to do. Just sit quietly with yourself. And maybe the moment you surrender wanting to speak the English language, you might find that the channeling you're really meant to do is to sing tones, you know, or to actually speak this light language more expansively, right? Maybe what's coming through for you isn't necessarily channeling like I channel or others channel, but something that the planet's never seen before. And I think if you open your mind to allowing it to be whatever is meant for you, that's the energy you get into where you really figure it out. And, you know, the caveat here, the caveat here is once you figure it out, it's probably going to change, right? So you need to stay open. I've learned that lesson in my life so many times, you know. Once I figure it out, I think, oh, this is how I do it, you know. They up the ante on you, and there's more that's meant to come in. So I'd say stay open. Stay completely open to your authentic way, you know, of doing it.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Deja. Those were great questions. I think everybody benefited from that. So have fun with it, Deja. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Those were good questions. Okay, let me go to one. Let's see. Our next caller is area code 9. What? That is a lot of incoming sound. Do you hear that?
I do hear that.
Yeah, I wonder where that was coming from because she was on hold. Okay, it's gone now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, area code 269. 269.
Oh my gosh! Hi.
Oh my gosh! Hi.
Oh my gosh! Because I was hearing in my mind 269, and then
and then I actually said it. What is your name, sweetie?
My name is Melissa, and this call, I just want to say how much I've enjoyed it because every topic that you've touched on is an interest and is just been so eye-opening and also affirming, and you know, I think everything all at once. And okay, I guess what I'm going to ask you, because I'm having trouble right now. I don't feel very grounded, and so could I possibly be? I noticed that, like, when I'm conscious of, you know, planetary shifts, I'm going through something in my body, and I don't know, but I just wanted to ask you if, like, I'm having something now where, like, I've never had kidney stones. But it's almost like I'm in symptoms of that, but I feel like there's this pressure inside, like the lower abdomen. It feels like it's like a balloon's getting blown up, and it's like, you know, there's moments where it almost feels like I'm going to just, well, I don't feel like I'm going to explode, but it's kind of that pressure feeling, like there's this pressure building, and this has been going on for almost 2 weeks right now. And it's like when I do my energy work, it can subside some, but it never really goes away. And I also noticed that I'm having trouble grounding during this time. So I just wondered if you could maybe speak to how our bodies might be. I mean, I would like a personal to know if that might be what's going on, and also to help others maybe understand a little more about how the physical body connects with the earth this way.
Yeah. Well, we have meridians within us which channel energy or information in the same way the universal meridians channel information between the earth and the Pleiades and all these other star systems. And what we're actually doing right now is kind of clearing our meridians of dense emotion, physical patterns, things that we no longer need. And so it's showing up not just in the physical body. I'm seeing it also with family patterns and emotional traumas and wounds all of a sudden coming up. But think of your unique meridians storing information from the past in unique places, right? So for you, the kidneys might really be the area where you're holding some of the traumas or the emotions that are coming up to be passed through. When we pass a kidney stone, for example, what is that stone made of? It's made up of all these, right? And that's the physical representation of the energy, and they're linked as one. And so when I talk about the grids and the earth and all these shifts that are taking place, the Arcturians told us back in 2017, actually, that linear year 2018 and 2019 would be very significant and turbulent in the body. And the reason for this is that our bodies, our muscles, our cells, our organs are made up of information. And so imagine yourself ascending through an earth transition and taking the initiative or the opportunity to continue to meditate and do your energetic practice. You're moving through space and time pretty fast. So your body is going to purge physical stuff that isn't equal to your new vibration. And that's what I think this is for you. We also, in this influx of akash, all right, all this truth that's coming in, are integrating these fragments that I talked about earlier. I've had people, for example, come to me with skin rashes, and out of the blue, very strange. They have this very bubbly, weird skin rash that comes and goes. And the guide said, imagine you integrating your Arcturian or Pleiadian self here on this planet. How extra sensitive would that Arcturian self be to all the toxins that are here, to the foods that we eat? This is the type of adjustment that we're seeing in the physical body. And the grounding for you, I don't think it's the grounding much that's the issue, more than it is the, the predisposition to really go non-physical. And that's important to balance that, right? When you talk about grounding, are you talking about energetic grounding, or are you talking about being physically grounded, like actually being in your body?
Yeah,
are you having trouble?
Yeah, I kind of see those as the same, but I guess what I mean is that energetically, so like I see myself where I see my physical body, and then my energetic body is just, like, it's not all the way in. It's like... Yeah.
I totally
so I
get
guess
that.
that's what I mean rather than...
Yeah. And I totally get that, because I see what you see too. This is the light body, physical body integration that you're experiencing. And, like I said, everyone's unique. Everyone experiences this different. There's no right or wrong. But to some degree on the planet, we're all right now integrating our light bodies with our physical bodies. And the guides actually talked about this like trying to put a feather through a stone. Like our physical body is that stone full of all that dense information. And that feather is like our light body that vibrates at a higher speed. But they said the feather holds the flight pattern of many masters that's coming to reunite with you. But imagine, what would you have to do to fit that feather into that stone? You'd literally have to drill out its content. You'd have to change its content. And that's what we're walking through as a human race. We're changing the contents of our physical form to accompany this light body and integrate it.
Yeah, I love that. What great information.
Beautiful.
Thanks for your question, Melissa. Thank you for that.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Beautiful.
You're so welcome.
Well, we thank you too, Melissa, and blessings to you. What a great question. Okay, bye, Melissa. Lots of love to you. Okay. The way that you explained that was beautiful. As always. Okay, I'm going to go to one more caller. Area code 202. 202.
Hello?
Hi, welcome to the call.
Hi, Carrie. Oh my gosh. It's Linda. How are you?
Hi, Linda. How are you?
I am blown away because I literally I joined the call hoping to get the last 30 minutes, and I can't believe you called me. But this is amazing. I have been wanting to listen to Micheila since I don't know when. Oh my God, I can just feel
it's all happening for you, Linda.
It's the beauty of everything that you're saying. This is so awesome. So I can't believe I get to talk to you. I've seen you on so many YouTube videos, and you're amazing. What
thank you.
What are you guys talking about? I feel so ridiculous. I literally I just wanted to catch the tail end as I'm going to work. I can't. All I heard was you helping that person with the transition that they're having, and with skin rashes and this and that. And I just feel like, well,
what question do you have? Because we've been jumping around, just kind of talking about galactic things, human things, energetic things. So any question that you have would probably be just great here. So what feels important to ask Micheila?
Well, for right now, it's a question of getting realigned. I know that everything is happening. I'm feeling rather disjointed and basically scattered. I'd love to be able to be a little more focused and feel a togetherness of everything. And I'd like some help as to how far my galactic seed might be. I've heard a few things, and I don't, it sounds a little weird, but I've heard some Andromedan things, and I'd like to know what your feeling is, because I have not, as of yet, been answered in that way or have been shown that way at this point in my life through my meditation.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So first, the focus part. Not uncommon right now, just like all of the stuff that we've been talking about. One of the biggest themes that I've noticed is energetic exhaustion and lack of ability to focus. And that, again, it's our electromagnetics, but they have a direct effect on our hormones. So what I believe and what I'm finding in a lot of session is the lack of ability to concentrate is an adjustment of the hormones to what's happening on the planet. It can be a stress response in some of us, right? Not only because we're more connected to the collective and we're more telepathic and we're picking up empathically on all this stuff that's going on, but it's a new technology to adjust to as well. So my advice to you is, if you can't concentrate, it's probably for a reason that whatever you're supposed to be working on physically might need a break or a rest from in order for you to integrate the energy. I'm a big proponent of listening to your body and surrendering to what it needs, even though I myself am human and fight it a lot too. So I found it with myself. The last, I'd say, 6 months have been very up and down in my energy. I have sat down to try to do massive projects that my brain won't allow me to do. I just needed to rest, and that rest has benefited me. So I would say if that's how you feel, you should listen. Definitely listen. Okay. And then as far as the galactic lineage first, I do sessions with like hundreds of people. We do not have one cosmic family. We have toured the galactic universe in so many galactic locations, stars, right? But there's usually a cosmic family that you're connecting with now. In other words, there is an important galactic connection that you're meant to integrate, and that changes, okay? So So for you, the Andromedan, obviously if that's coming up in your experience, and I get the hit on that too, very significant for you. You've probably spent many lifetimes in Andromeda. But it doesn't mean it's the only one, right? What you may find is after you go through this transition, all of a sudden another collective shows up for you, and then another. And I can do readings for people 3-4 times, and we'll draw. Sometimes we'll draw on the same one. But others, we will draw in a new cosmic family for them every reading, because they'll say, well, you know, your DNA is drawing this cosmic lineage, this cosmic history right now for this reason. So it's just like truth. It never stays stagnant. It's always changing and vibrationally moving. Yeah.
It's very good to know, because it wasn't, you know, one or the other. It was just very interesting to me, and it felt very peaceful, and it felt very high vibrational, and I felt my entire body almost vibrate, and there was a peace beyond understanding that I had not felt in so long, that I thought this clearly must be something I either adjust myself to or wish to be or am, because it feels so good and I feel like I'm at home. And I have yet to be able to do that by myself, but I do get to do that with very high vibrational people such as yourself. And it's just I'm looking forward to doing that, you know, by myself.
I love your laugh, Linda.
You know, but it's true, because I know it's there. And then I'm blessed because, you know, I listen to Carrie, and a couple of her guests have actually become my friends, because, you know, it's like I know we're doing readings, but we do them for each other. It's just amazing. But I only feel that way when I talk to them. And it's like, wait a minute, I'd really like to do this. You know, it's by myself. You know what I mean? But to be able to connect fully, you know, in my own sovereignty and understanding, you know, the depth and the humility and the greatness of what that means to be able to surrender, you know, to the source that way. And it's part of that, but it's not happened yet, which is okay. It's not a time thing. It's just, wow, I'd like to, if there's something that you might be able to impart, as in, you know, meditation might be good for you, drinking a little bit more water or something, or, you know, that would be great. Or if it's just, you know, keep refocusing on the meditation and becoming that, and you will, you know, whatever that is.
Well, first of all, if that feeling isn't the definition of truth, I don't know what is. It's exactly what we've been talking about, right? So obviously you've confirmed yourself that this is true. The question about what you need, and when water came up, yes, not just for you, but I've been getting this for everybody, like 3-4 times more water. And I know that sounds absurd, but water is the carrier of information. And what's happening on the planet right now is so much information's coming in that we're utilizing so much of our water. Someone even asked a question about, like, the receding of some of the water bodies of Gaia, and the message came in that she was utilizing her own water right now, you know, for the shift that's going on within her. So, yeah, absolutely more water across the board for everybody who's on the call. But what I think the best is, you know, I get this question a lot, how do I connect to my authentic way in, right? And I think that's what you're asking is first, you have to let go of the perception of what you believe it looks like from the outer world. And I get a lot of people who get immersed in, you know, and I offer courses myself, right? We get immersed in courses, we get immersed in teachings, and we have all these people show up. And it's important to balance that with silence and with your own practice. I'm a huge proponent in developing your own practice, because that is the only way you'll uncover what works best for you, the way to breathe, the way to sit, whether or not, you know, you need to meditate in the morning or at night, or, you know, if the body reacts in a certain way. I mean, unless we give ourselves that space and time to cultivate our own practice, we're never going to be able to understand how unique our connections really are. So if you're drawing teachers and teachings, that's great. I mean, if you're drawing them and they legitimately resonate with you, there's a reason for that. And a lot of times I find that we will draw the cosmic mirror to who we are in other forms. So they didn't really come to teach us. They came to help us remember who we are. But unless we balance that, we take a fast and we're able to sit in that silence and be in our own practice, will we find what is meant for us.
That's beautiful.
That's my advice too. Yeah.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. Thank you.
Linda, I'm grateful you called in and you were able to connect with us, and Micheila, and I loved your questions because they brought through a lot of great information for everybody. So lots of love to you, Linda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. I love what came through with that, Micheila. So the two things I highlighted were that, and I think it was good for everyone to hear this, we don't just have one galactic family. And I forget how you phrased it, but how we've kind of toured the, we've taken, I forget the words you used, but it was beautiful, and how sometimes we have more of a resonance with one or another, but we didn't just come from one singular galaxy or experience. So that was great. And I also love that you highlighted about not duplicating another's practice, because it may not work for us. And cultivating our own is so important because it feels good. We have to know what feels good to us. And that goes back to this whole topic of truth. Everybody has a different way and a different feeling that is best for them, and that's where discernment comes in, and we brought that up. Micheila, I want to highlight your offer, and then I'd love to do the activation, and we'll kind of feel into, or I'll let you feel into what feels best to bring through with that. But you have another one of your amazing Lightworker Inner Circles coming up, Exploring Truth. I love that it's number 11.
I know. I can't believe it.
Inner Circle, number 11.
Yeah, for those of you who are maybe new to the show, the way to find this offer is at straighttalkforthesoul.com/marketplace, and you'll see Micheila Sheldan's picture. Click on it, and that's where you will access this offer. It'll also be in your replay email later. So, yeah, what do you guys, so you're exploring truth. I guess we're taking a little bit of what we talked about today to many, many, many new levels, or at least that's the intention, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. We know over the solstice, over the Christmas break, I was connecting with a new collective, and they're called the Nihal. And they're these beautiful beings of light that are ancient philosophers and teachers through time, and they're coming to work with us in this course. They're 12th dimensional in addition to the Pleiadians, and I was even getting some divine feminine, Mary Magdalene type of energy. So this is a channeled course, and we go on this beautiful journey of exploring truth. And the live classes, so you're just in time, because the live classes actually start February the 4th. So this will be 6 Mondays in a row that we will be interacting live, and we'll be channeling on this topic. When you sign up for the offer, I've already filmed an introductory video, and I have been getting incredible feedback on this. So in this introductory video, it's the Nihal, the Pleiadians, and Magdalena. They walk us through some key codes. So it's like this entire practice or process around moving the energy that isn't truth and guiding us to understand that truth doesn't need to be validated outside, setting us up for the course material. So you get that right away. And then when the live transmissions start, we're going to be exploring universal truth, spiritual truth, physical truth, and unified truth. And then the final transmission is actually another activation. So we'll spend almost an hour together walking through a series of meditations and activations designed to release the programming and the resistance and all the stuff that we've been talking about. And I always throw in a 2-hour live Q&A because we can shore up questions after you go through the material. Whatever area still isn't clear for you, or if you need to apply it in your life in some direct way, you have access to these guides and beings to ask your question. And then I always throw in a private Facebook group as well. And this is kind of my favorite part, because the people that take my courses or have throughout the years have continued to grow. And it's like you inherit the second family when you step into this group. And you can post questions, comments. Yeah, it's just a really beautiful place to share. It's like your soul tribe coming together to experience the material together. Yeah, and so that's the package, and I'm really excited about this one. Really
I am too. I'm always excited when you
and I know everyone else is too, those who followed you for a long time, they always get excited about the new one coming up, and I am sure that your tribe has expanded, and so those who go ahead and get the offer, you'll have access to that intro video already and the Facebook group, so you can go in there and connect with others that are in there. And so, Micheila, that sounds really fascinating. Everything you do to me is fascinating to me. Like I kind of feel called to participate myself. It feels like there's going to be a lot in there. So thank you. I have to say there are quite a few questions in the webcast that are kind of leading to the same thing. So I want to have you address it if you don't mind. Okay, and I'm going to let me see. I'll read one that kind of summarizes or reflects this. It's from Heidi. She says, it was so interesting to hear Micheila say be open to the information that's necessary. She said, but I've been going down this rabbit hole learning about the dark agendas on Gaia. I have not been able to hold this information ever before, but I feel now called to know specifics. Is there a message, Micheila, for those of us waking up and integrating these fractured aspects? I imagine many of us in the Lightworker community are dealing with this, and the shadow and the darkest is the hardest to face. A lot of people are bringing up, what do you say about the dark stuff and the underground stuff and experiments and all of that?
Well, simply, again, we look at it in a very physical way, that there's physical action that we have to take. And when we do that, and we move into some physical action, typically our energy isn't aligned, because we're here to bring people to justice, right? It's an angry kind of a vibration. And if we could realize how much we impact these situations with our non-physical energy, we would approach them completely differently. So it's not wrong to go down the rabbit hole and dive for truth, as long as it doesn't start affecting your vibration. So in other words, if you're starting to perceive your life through the veil of that rabbit hole, then what you're going to begin to attract in your hologram is more truth of it, right? More
validation
of it. More validation, correct. And there's nothing wrong with that, although it really doesn't get the job done, okay, here on the planet. And darkness is simply here for us to hold more light. We were created in the likeness of this dark and light so that we could see the absence of God, to grab on and hold it tighter, to actually express it bigger. So if we're not immersed in that, at the same time we're going down the rabbit hole, we're really out of balance. And also what I've seen is humanity, especially as they go through awakening, and let's face it, when we wake up and we perceive multiple, that's what awakening is about. We start to question our truth, right? We had this one linear experience or belief that all of a sudden becomes widened out to this unbelievable amount of options that we have in front of us. But if we get lost, okay, in those options, and we don't begin to create something in our own physical lives, then what's going on the planet, it just kind of, it continues, right? It's like when we talked about, can you clear the akash, right? Or are we rewriting it? There's something that's there that's present that we're attempting to repattern. So no judgment here, right? But if we stay in the anger of the awakening, then we really don't get to the good part where those multiple perspectives help us live differently. Because I believe the biggest conscious action that you can take on the planet today is to simply live in your life in joy, in fulfillment, right, in peace. And if you find that those things are slipping away because you're going down that rabbit hole, that physical action you want to take is never going to make the impact here that we really need to make. So that's how
I could not agree more. Yeah, when it starts to drain you and you feel terrible and you can't sleep and all of that, it's just, I know there's a curiosity that can get a hold of us, and but we have to know when it's to our detriment. energetically.
Mm-hmm.
And I love what you were saying, and it's something we said earlier in the show about just this embodiment of vibration is what's important in terms of bringing forth into our everyday lives. That's the solution to me. Wow, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you addressed that, because there were quite a few people who wrote in about that, and I want to share that a lot of people had said thank you, fantastic show. So, we've covered a lot of different variables, and it's been awesome. But I said that we would do a little activation. So, Micheila, what are you feeling would be significant or relevant or important for this group?
Well, I think what we're going to do today is we're going to work on some of that resistance and how it's showing up in the physical body, because it kind of grabs a hold of both the concept of truth, the ascension symptoms and the transition we're walking through, and some of the physical symptoms, right, that got brought into the call. So we have actually the knee hall here, and I welcome them as they step forward, and they say that as all of you are vibrating as a one collective, and we are sending a signal of light and love through this channel to your heart, we open the door for you to begin to relax. So we ask everyone, regardless of where you may be and what you may be in the process of, to set the tone for energetic relaxation, letting go of whatever the mind is holding as to the next activity, letting go of the signals of the body of what must be changed or is in discordance for you in this moment, to allow the breath to take on a resonance of peace, so that as you are slowly breathing in and breathing out, you are allowing peace in from the aspects of your planet that hold it, and you are drawing the peace from within you and sending it back out to the planet. And as you do this, with each breath, there is a coherence now between you and source energy. And so we ask you to go a little deeper into that state of peace, knowing that regardless of your perception of what is taking place on the planet, that there is peace. Regardless of what you believe you are blocked from or is unable to heal within your physical experience, in that experience, there is peace. That regardless of what the physical body holds in terms of resistance to truth or the allowance of others to be in their truth, there is peace. And as you continue to fill the entire energetic vessel you hold with this vibrating wave of peace, it becomes the intention of your highest self to allow. Simply to allow whatever is happening in the moment to be as is. To simply allow whatever is taking place in the body, whether it be physical shifts, whether it be physical clearing, whether it be dense forms of emotion, to simply be present as is. And as you fan this acceptance out beyond your form, to all of the human souls you surround yourself with, to the human race, to the entire planet, you allow all to be as is. And in this acceptance that you have now found, you are transmuting that which does not match its resonance. That beneath the pain or discomfort, that beneath the resistance, beneath the anger, beyond the lack of clarity, there is something that you are uncovering that is of great assistance to you. There is energy that is moving to support who you are now becoming. And that everything outside of you, those soul partners, those resources, that human planet, is aligning to support this unfolding of your newest self. Knowing that you are in constant vibrational motion, this newest self becomes anchored as a part of your manifestation ability to prefer and choose more of the experience that you desire. And as you take a deep breath in, we crystallize this vibration of peace, acceptance, and allowance to show up for you in your physical reality at moments when it is most needed, at moments when you find yourself in darkness or in fear, in moments when you are confused or feel you do not know. Breathe in as this sacred geometric remembrance of this energy that you have now experienced comes easily to your awareness. Deep breath in. And so it is. When you are ready, you may bring yourself back into your space.
Beautiful, Micheila. I think we all needed that wave of peace.
Don't we always?
Waves of peace are always welcome here. What an amazing show with you, Micheila. It always is. It's just so enlightening. I mean, yes. I hope that, I hope you had a good time with us. I always love having you here, and everybody else does too. I'm looking at all the feedback in our webcast, and everybody loves you, Micheila. So thank you.
Thank you. I love all of you. My pleasure. I always love being here. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. And I want to highlight your offer again, your Lightworker Inner Circle program, or it starts, when does it start, Micheila?
February 4th. It's going to be on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern, so that might not be night for you, but Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Yeah.
And if someone happens to be listening to this after it started, there will be recordings of everything, so don't feel like you've missed out or anything like that. And yes, and you can find that at straighttalkforthesoul.com/marketplace. And Micheila, thank you again, and to everybody, thank you for the gift of your light, your presence, your love, and your time today. I would encourage you to listen to this again. There were a lot of messages, a lot of layers to the information that was shared here today. Yeah, it was awesome. I think I will listen again myself. So, and remember, give yourself the gift of expanding with Micheila in this class, the Lightworker Inner Circle. We have received so much beautiful feedback from it in the past. So I am sending waves and waves of love and light and gratitude directly from my heart to yours. May you feel it, receive it, and offer it to those you encounter today or tonight, wherever you are in the world. Please join us in our Facebook group. Just type in Straight Talk for the Soul. We'd love to see you there. And until next time, please give yourself full permission to shine instead of shrink, express instead of suppress, and own that amazing, powerful glow of yours. I'll see you back here in this playground of light next time, everybody. Bye-bye.